Imagine a city, the beating heart of the world's first great civilization, brought to its knees not just by an enemy, but by its own internal decay. The siege of Ur wasn't just a battle. It was a slow, agonizing death of a society, riddled with political backstabbing, devastating famine, and military missteps. What truly happened in those final, desperate days that brought down a kingdom that once seemed invincible? Today, we're diving into one of history's most dramatic collapses, the fall of Ur, a catastrophe so complete that it echoed through Mesopotamian memory for centuries. This is about how the world's first great civilization fell apart from the inside out, and the brutal siege that delivered the final blow. We'll examine the strategic blunders, the political chaos, and the human suffering that marked the end of an era. To understand the fall, we need to understand what was lost. At its peak, Ur was the city, the crown jewel of Sumerian civilization. Massive ziggurats piercing the sky, streets bustling with merchants from across the known world. The royal cemetery revealed gold helmets, lapis lazuli from Afghanistan, carnelian from India. This was a city at the center of a vast trade network, accumulating unmatched wealth. But Ur's true power came from grain. Sophisticated irrigation networks channeled the Euphrates across vast fields of barley and wheat. This agricultural abundance funded armies, temples, and a bureaucracy that projected power across Mesopotamia. By 2100 BCE, Ur commanded an empire from the Persian Gulf to the highlands of Anatolia. This was the world's first bureaucratic empire. In many ways, Ur wrote the playbook for civilization itself. But beneath the glittering surface, cracks were already forming. Every great collapse begins long before the final blow falls. First came environmental betrayal. Around 2200 to 2000 BCE, prolonged droughts and desertification struck. Irrigation systems failed as water levels dropped and salt accumulated in the soil. Crop yields fell. Famine became recurring. The agricultural backbone was breaking. Then came political chaos, the Sumerian problem. Ur consisted of dozens of city-states, each with its own ambitions. As central authority weakened, infighting intensified. Local governors withheld tribute. Border disputes escalated. The bureaucracy that once unified the empire became a maze of competing interests. And waiting in the wings were the Amorites, nomadic tribes pushed eastward by the same climate changes devastating Ur. At first, just raids, quick strikes, then retreats into the desert. But as Ur weakened, these raids became bolder, more coordinated. The Amorites began probing for weakness, and they found plenty. By the time Ur realized the true scale of the threat, it was too late. The siege was brutal, systematic, and devastatingly effective. The Amorites didn't just surround Ur, they strangled it. What historians call the Iron Wall cut off every supply line. Roads blocked, river traffic intercepted, farmlands captured or burned. This wasn't about overwhelming the walls with force. The Amorites turned Ur's size against it. A city of tens of thousands requires massive daily supplies. Cut those flows, and the city becomes its own prison. Within weeks, Ur was completely isolated. Then came the hunger. Ancient laments speak of mothers unable to feed their children, of the wealthy trading gold for moldy grain, of bodies in the streets. But here's what made it worse. Ur's rulers had stockpiled grain in the palace and temple complexes. There was food, but the elite hoarded while common people starved. The military situation was equally dire. Desertions became epidemic as soldiers watched their families starve. Officers fought amongst themselves. Desperate sorties tried to break the siege. Every single one failed. The Amorites had learned Sumerian tactics over decades. Each failed attempt cost your men it couldn't replace, and morale it couldn't afford to lose. Military discipline crumbled. The siege was working exactly as planned. Ur was breaking down from within. The final phase is where history blurs into horror. The laments speak of the weeping wall. As starvation peaked, sections of Ur's defensive walls became gathering places for the dying. Families brought their sick to the walls, leaving them in the shadow of structures meant to protect them. Disease swept through like wildfire. These walls became mass graves and visible symbols of social order's complete breakdown. As the siege dragged on, elements within Ur's elite began secretly negotiating with the Amorite. Talks about opening the gates in exchange for their own safety and power in whatever came next. This was the final act of a ruling class that had already abandoned its people. When the gates finally opened, the sack was total. The Amorites poured through, putting to flame what they couldn't carry. The great ziggurat was desecrated. The palace was looted to the foundations. The righteous city has been turned into ruins. Ur is destroyed. Bitter is its lament. Bodies were piled at every gate. Archaeological layers show a clear destruction level, marking the end of Ur as a major power. For all practical purposes, Ur died. The fall of Ur marked more than one city's destruction. It represented the true demise of Sumerian civilization as an independent force. Never again would a Sumerian dynasty hold empire-wide power. The torch passed to the Akkadians, then the Babylonians, the Assyrians, each building on Sumerian foundations, but never truly Sumerian themselves. The survivors wrote laments as warnings. They wanted future generations to understand what happens when environmental stress meets political dysfunction. When elites hoard resources while people suffer. When internal division makes external threats unstoppable. Despite its tragic end, Ur's influence never died. The legal codes influenced Hammurabi's laws. The administrative techniques survived in Babylonian bureaucracy. The architectural principles shaped temples for millennia. Ur fell, but the civilization it represented became the foundation for everything that came after. It never truly ended, it just transformed. The siege of Ur stands as one of history's most complete collapses, but it wasn't inevitable. At multiple points, different choices could have altered the outcome. Better water management, political unity, fair resource distribution. Ur teaches us that civilizations don't collapse overnight. They erode slowly through accumulated failures, until one final crisis brings everything down at once. That first great civilization is gone, buried under desert sand. But the lessons it left behind remain as relevant as ever. Could Ur have been saved? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this, like and subscribe for more deep dives into ancient history. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.